and I want to pass the mic to our Master of Ceremonies for the night. I have had the pleasure of working with this powerful person over the past couple of months on a project, and have really started to understand a little bit more about the power and clarity of their voice. They are educator, activist, and emeritus poet laureate of Aurora. Their poetry has been featured in HBO's Brave New Voices, TEDx, and they are. I want to talk a little bit about one very important moment where I knew that they were down. Right, we were at a spot where we're working on this program for Denver High School, North High School, and the question was, who's going to do the breathing exercise today? And like, it was so funny. This person basically looked at me and said, is there even a question? I think of breathing rituals on the daily, new breathing rituals. I was like, anyways, so I want to pass it over to this person, constantly dropping bars, cultivating healing spaces for Black femmes. You're a Master of Ceremonies for the night, Asetu Shango.
Thank you, Kalonji. Give it up for Kalonji, y'all. Just a lot. Well, beautiful. I'm so grateful to be here. Y'all don't know how much I miss these kinds of spaces. I wish that we could be in person, but soon enough. But we're going to treat this space like we're in person. So you're in your room by yourself. You might have people in the house. That's okay. Let them hear you clap. Let them hear you scream, hoot, holler, do all the things. If you've ever been to a slam space before, you know that we are loud people. We respond gutturally. Whatever comes up in your spirit, let it come through your mouth. And also let it come through the chat, because we can't hear you. So let it come through the chat. Use your emojis. Use your spirit thing. Use your ASL applause. Your spirit fingers. Yep. Franklin got it. Woo 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 woo. All that stuff. Because this space, poetry, spoken word, it thrives off of community. It thrives off of connection. It's a conversation, right? This comes from Mali, the griots in West Africa. This is a space where we come to gather, where we come to connect. So please get loose right now. Just wiggle. I need to see everybody wiggling. Wiggle, there it is. Yep. Let those arms flow. Let the shoulders loose. Let the neck go. Like, please genuinely drop into this space. It is going to be way more fun if we're all in it together and really see each other and just get into it. Perfect. So tonight is going to go a little something like this. So we have an open mic. We only have 3 people on our open mic. So if you are interested in being on our open mic, all you got to do is personal message me in the chat and you will be on our open mic. It's that simple. As far as what you can say, what you might hear tonight. So I like to give a blanket trigger warning when it comes to poetry. People write about things that are very dear to their heart, difficult experiences, things that might get you in your feelings, things that might even trigger you. So please take care of yourself. If you need to turn off your camera for a moment and just cry it out and let that release emotion, let that happen. If you need to step away, feel free to do that. But I just want to let you know there might be some topics covered here that are difficult. I'm not saying there will be, I just don't know. And I want to make sure that we're all prepared for whatever might come. As far as language, any language is allowed here. So be prepared to hear some words that you might not want to hear or that you really like to hear, like me. But the only thing that we will not allow and will not tolerate is hate speech. So any bigotry, anything like that, any isms, you will be, I'm guessing, immediately removed. So just don't do it. And we are also centering Black voices. So in the slam, we have 2 different rounds, 2 different categories. So one is going to be original poem about anything. And then the second one is going to be a cover piece by a Black artist, by a Black poet or songwriter, or whomever people want to quote. So I think that's all. Korea, is there anything you want to add to that? No, you good? All right, bet. So we're gonna start with this young open mic, and since it's always the worst to go first, I will do that honor. So I have been spending the whole day working on editing my poetry book, and so I'm just gonna pick some random poems from that, and we'll see what comes out. All right. And I can't see you, so send me a lot of energy. Okay, let's find the book.
Woo!
There we
Yeah.
go. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so this one actually just got published in a magazine called African Voices. So I'm going to start with it. What Africa is not. Africa is not your boyfriend's collarbone. Do not exaggerate it on the nights you get horny. Africa will not comfort you. Desire is not to investigate your lifelong feelings of displacement. Africa does not remember you. Stop mourning your lost centuries ago. Africa did not birth you. Does not lament the privileges your kidnappers afforded you. Knowledge of Africa will not save you, as it has not saved the Africans you forget the living. Africa is not your trophy trip. It's not to be displayed upon your walls. Africa will forget you. You're not special on a continent this large. Africa is not a love story, not paperback or Lifetime television. Africa is not and will never be yours. So there's that poem.
Period. Period.
Period. Okay. Period.
Who's
All
that?
right.
Yes.
All right. What else?
Yes.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all gassing me up. I love it. All right. What else we got? So I like to read, let me find it. I like to read this poem because I'm just straight telling on myself. Where are you? Okay, so I'm walking through a backwards land. A man hiding in the bushes calls me a predator in an accent that belonged to his father. He swigs tobacco and spits it at me. I take this attention to mean he likes me, and I am all too eager to be desired, so I shift my body to him suggestively. He sifts through the pieces of me and curses me for liking it. Behind me, there is a caged Black girl crying inaudibly through the bars. I ignore her. Wouldn't know what to do with a poor thing anyway. Her body suppresses that empty mouth she calls a bed, and I hear her less and less with each of her sobs. But it does echo. The man sifting through my body is gone now, replaced with another. This one talks smooth and holds the sun in his skin. I lay here on this gravel path, naked and waiting as he is off mining other bodies. I do not even think to move. Instead, I shiver in rhythm with the echoing sobs. I do not register how synced this movement is. It is not long before another man kneels beside me. This one has soft eyes, soft hands, soft everything. He is too soft to be this rough and unthinking with my figure. As he shoves his body against mine, I ignore this motion as I do the sobs. Instead, I focus intently on his words, soft words, the words of a philosopher, a poet, words that somehow make the jagged feeling justifiable. There is a waveless ocean growing next to the little Black girl. I don't know what she's so weepy about. Lucky for me, the next man likes oceans, holds one between us and shows me it's not so bad. Tells me to imagine what his embrace will feel like if I cross it. I imagine it, then I do it. His tongue curls on the first night as he apologizes for raping me. I am forgiving, my body open. He plugs the holes that might otherwise hear the sobs. I am grateful for this, but it is short-lived. He comes fast and withdraws even faster. I think she might be drowning now. I tell myself this is all a silly dream, a weird reprieve from the magical land in which I normally live. The little girl is on a throne. She is slut-shaming me with cutting eyes. The first man reappears from the bushes, offers to walk me home for protection, he says. I tell him I don't need protecting. I can protect myself. You shouldn't have to. He outstretches a wool hand, but all I see is wolf, noticing it is safer to walk alone, I tell him. But I meant to tell myself. I don't believe it anyway. 4 paces later, I meet a boy with ambivalent eyes. His touch is gentle, but only from hesitation. The next man is loving, but his touch belongs to someone we dare not speak of when we are alone. Next one ejaculates inside me and leaves the country before learning if the child is his. I cannot bear the cackle of this little girl without a man by my side. The first man reappears as if on cue, the blue hue in his eyes sparkling from what light I do not know. He is delighted to see me return for more. This is the only consent when it comes to abuse, the coming back for more. His arms are rusted and cut me as he touches. It's fair enough to say that rape is more energetic than physical because my God, if it were just a physical act, it'd be done by now. But let my body tell it, and I am raped every time I am touched. The girl is still cackling, or crying. It all sounds the same, serves the same purpose. She is trying to get me to comfort her, release her, listen to her. But I am too focused on the road ahead. Maybe the next man will be different, though I am not. All right, so that's that. Thank y'all. I really appreciate your support. I didn't expect to read that, but here we are. All right, beautiful, lovely people. So I will be calling names from this list. Again, there are only 3 people on this list. So if you would like to be on the open mic tonight, let me know. If you would like to slam, we can take 2 more people for the slam. Oh, and I should probably let you know about the prizes. So I'll let you know about the prizes after this next poet who I'm calling up. Drum roll, please. You know him, you love him, you heard him before. Here is Kalonji. Yeah, unmute, go wild.
Yeah!
Yeah!
Get it! All right. See what we got. All right.
Wow, this is beautiful. I want to appreciate, I said too, and where you just took me, I'm like still riding on both of those pieces. Little, like I got some of the shivers a little bit, to be quite honest. It was really deep. Yeah, I want to share a couple pieces, and the pieces that I want to share are like the first piece that I want to share is really, I think to a certain extent, thinking about reincarnation. And I feel in certain ways, freedom struggles are reincarnations of past freedom struggles. And I was really considering that and trying to think about that as it appears, both in, social justice movements, but also as it appears in our life and my family. And so I was thinking about when I learned that my grandfather, who I never met, was actually murdered in a pretty violent way. And that was the same year that my older brother was born. That my older brother actually ended up passing away in a very similar way. And it was something that I was really struggling with as just a man, as a person. And but it made me think about this idea of reincarnation and how it's explored in various different cultures. And so I'm going to share a little bit of the piece that I wrote to sort of work through that for myself. And a little bit, one other thing to give it some context. How many of y'all have seen this new film, Judas and the Black Messiah? Have people heard of this? Oh, yes. I get to tell you about something amazing. So Judas and the Black Messiah is starring Daniel Kaluuya, and it's actually I see some yeses out there. Awesome. And it's telling the story of Chairman Fred Hampton of the Black Panther Party. And so one of the interesting things about him, he lived an amazing life, and you get to see a little bit of that in that movie. But another part that kind of connects to this reincarnation piece is Jay-Z was born on the day that Fred Hampton passed away. And so me as a hip hop fan, I wanted to sort of jump into that. And so you'll understand when I start the piece. And the gospel say, Hova arrived on the day Fred Hampton died. Real niggas just multiply. Jah force just don't divide. Energy transforms, but it won't subside. You could kill a freedom fighter, but you can't kill the freedom fight. Op slugs penetrate flesh, but not ether, right? The vibration flows from the ancestral zone to my mouth to the mic at the speed of light. Speaking in tongues in Sanskrit, the sleep of death, what dreams may come, word to King Hamlet. My strategies came in visions like the Queen's Gambit. To meet the good witch of the South, I had to leave Kansas. Yeah, I'm talking Dorothy, no Dandridge. The Dalai Lama could return within a bad bitch, or in that young nigga that you labeled as a savage. When the OGs is gone, we gonna grab their baton out with the when the OGs is gone, we gonna grab their baton out with the quickness like Owens, no Candace. Yeah. So that's a piece there about, it's called Reincarnation. Appreciate it. Yes. Yeah, and so I want to do one more piece. I want to do one more piece. Someone said, did I perform that last year? I want to perform a piece that's a newer piece. But I want to perform another piece that I did perform last year, and it's become one of my favorites to do in this space. If I felt really comfortable to actually introduce it in Shades of Honey, so I can't do it. I can't leave here without doing it again. And I think it's actually quite relevant to this news cycle. Middle finger to the throne like Meghan Markle. If I ever speak Queen's English, nigga, make me gargle. In Queensbridge or Kingston is where I find more verbal glamour than the sparkle of a Buckingham or Mar-a-Lago. Your president is tweeting with his pants off. My president is speaking in a patois, issuing a fatwa of clemency for Antoine. Why did Oxford prohibit adding any slang to the dictionary he was assembling for the king? Slang's defined as the language only suitable for the low and disreputable. Be dutiful and render unto Oxford the things that are Oxford's, but render the word unto the ancestors. That's on God and on the dead, homies. Word is bond like a ceremony. That's on God and on the dead, homies. Word is bond like a ceremony. Speech is a fruit, where chatter is the skins, the pulp is eloquence, the kernel is common sense. Nigga, I said chatter is the skins, the pulp is eloquence, the kernel is common sense. Skins can be discarded, pulp can feed the starving. The kernel's what you store for the forthcoming garden. To harvest for next generation's forthcoming garden, so we can coordinate around the common sense. Started in the beginning, there was the word, existing between what was thought and what was heard. The only link joining my inner life to yours. Our bond can't be captured by lexicographers. I spit real talk and you could feel me. And when my thoughts understood, that shit could heal me. Tried decoding that exchange with grammatical laws. Grammar police trying to lock me behind my own bars. Teach me to speak my own existence into existence. Teach me to speak my own, hold on, I'm losing it, y'all. Y'all gotta help me bring it back.
You got it.
You take
Thank
your
you,
time.
thank you.
Go off. Keep going.
Teach me to speak my own imprisonment into existence. Wow, I'm losing it. Ah, wow.
That's okay. It's beautiful.
Okay. Speech is a fruit where chatter is the skins. The pulp is eloquence, the kernel is common sense. Nigga, I said chatter is the skins, the pulp is eloquence, the kernel is common sense. Skins can be discarded, pulp can feed the starving. The kernel's what you store for the forthcoming garden. It's a harvest for next generations, forthcoming garden. So we can coordinate around the common sense. Thanks for bearing with me, y'all. Thank you.
Woo!
That's,
Woo! Yeah, give it up for Kalonji.
Good.
That was beautiful. The other thing, I did two things today. I edited my book and I caught up on all the tea with Meghan Markle. So this was relevant and I appreciate it. Word of up. All right, we're going to keep this thing going. Please welcome up the poet, Alex.
Okay. Hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Okay. So I think I'm gonna do 2 poems tonight. A little nervous about this first one because I've never done one that's so not safe for work before, but like, we got this. Okay. All right. 4-fanged viper, you leave me rich and slick. I burn when I stretch, and you coo as I twitch. Fists tight in your sheets, the damp heat of your breath on the shell of my ear makes me breathless. 4-fanged viper, you leave me watching your face, contorted, desperate, needy, burning open a gaping hole in my core. I feel hungry for the tremble in your voice, the sweet clutch of your fingers on my arm, leaving tiny pink moons on my skin. 4-fanged viper, you leave me gasping into the pillow with each slow grind, feet curling in on themselves, belly tumbling ever upwards, dizzy with your weight and the press of your hands. 4-fanged viper, you leave me vicious, pressing the curve of my mouth against the curve of your neck, damp with sweat, giddy at the tense in your belly, inhaling sharply, ready to... That's my first poem. So.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. My next one. Sorry, I'm like half looking at stuff. This one's a little bit longer. I apologize for that in advance. Whoops. Oh, sorry. I am not great with the camera stuff. So let's see if I can get it to fix. No, that's not what I meant to do. Okay. All right. Do we got it? Nope. Okay. I think I figured it out. Okay. This one is called Magpie. You laughed with dust on your fingers and the tip of your tongue, and I watched that crimson flake off of you in waves. When I fled, I looked back and watched the iron weighing down your throat rust into the ocean at your feet. And when you left, I tugged the jagged edges of my shoulders like frayed threads, like loose scales, like white shells, like paper scraps, nestled in the bottom of the jars I keep in my basement, hiding, always hiding. Last night, I dreamt of your voice. I saw the rage in your eyes gleam, and when I reached out, I found myself holding rolling wooden marbles in my palm, watching them spin like the hands of a clock. Click, 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 click. I dip my fingers in crushed slate, running my fingers across my skin, digging my nails in and scooping lines around the cushions and my flesh, tracing lines in the grains of my hairs and leaving the beds of my nails raw and aching. And this is the pith of a lemon, long after the zest has burned to ash, clawing its way up the back of my throat, singeing the letters you pressed into my skin. My body is a portrait of my grief, a shadow I couldn't let fade. That's my second poem. So, yeah. Okay, we're done.
Wow, give it up for Alex, y'all. I just need to let that breathe for a moment. My body is a portrait of my grief. Ooh. Yes, yes. Let them hear it, y'all. Unmute. This
Love
is
you,
some
Alex.
great stuff.
I love you too.
That's hard.
Love you,
Yeah,
baby.
and gratitude
So
for
powerful.
I know I'm pretty new to the space, but I know there's some regulars in here. So gratitude for all y'all, Korea and everybody for creating a space where
We love
y'all
you, Korea.
do this. Yes, where there's safety to do this. That's really, really beautiful and really important. And also, I failed to mention that everyone who speaks tonight gets a little money. So if you are on the open mic, you get $30. If you are on the slam, you get at least $50. But if you win the slam, you get $500. If you get second in the slam, you get $250. And if you get third in the slam, you get $125. So I hope that motivates you to get on one of these lists. All right, so we're gonna keep it moving. Please welcome to the invisible mic, Adrian. Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up.
Woo!
All right. I was not even planning on going on, but I felt moved, and so this is my partner Will of now. Hello, everybody. Hi, Korea. Of like 10 months now.
Yes.
And one of the very first things that we did together as friends when we first met was go to Shades of Honey. And I was like, this white boy invited me to an event like this. And so we went, we hung out after. But Korea, Kalonji, Asetu, Franklin, I have heard you all speak multiple times now, and I never wrote poetry before hearing you all. So for real, like, I'm gonna share just a couple things. I only have a couple things. The first one I read to my dad, and he asked if it was a poem. He said, "What's the difference between a poem and just talking?" And I'm still figuring that out. But I'm gonna go. And to be completely honest, I'm just gonna be super real and vulnerable. I had a panic attack and was like super stressed and had to take like 4 days off work. And one of those days I took some mushrooms. And so I wrote this that day. You know what? I'm gonna take just a few deep breaths. So I invite you all to do the same.
Yes, let's all take deep breaths.
Life will go on, with or without me, with or without my thoughts and opinions. I could die today, and life would still go in the direction it was headed. I put so much on myself and carry so much. I refuse to believe I'm insignificant, that nothing I do matters. I believe the complete opposite. However, I'm not alone. So although I could die today and the world wouldn't stop, I know that all I do is part of a much larger idea. If I died today, my life would end, but there are so many things that I embody that would continue on for countless years or whatever measurement of times. I do not need to have children to know that part of me will be present, dare I say, living for countless generations after me. My ancestors knew that one day they'd be forgotten. What things, what ideas are still present? What things are still living in me today? And are they the same things I want to send forward? One can imagine. I'm sure my ancestor would be really proud, but more importantly, I'm sure my ancestors would want me to be at peace, and for me to know, I don't know, that life will go on.
That's beautiful.
I love you, Adrian.
Yes. Give love. Give love.
Yes. good
Yes.
job.
Woo!
Thank you.
I'm so proud.
Thank you. And so the second one I'll do is a super cheesy one that I wrote for Will, my baby.
Aw.
We fit together like puzzle pieces. You and I, me and you, us. Us was an idea in my mind I wanted. When we talk by the creek and walk by the creek, what do you think the chances were that we'd live 5 streets apart? Your house by the park, the one where I asked you to be my boyfriend on May 13th. What do you think the chances were that we'd fall in love and move to a city, the one that's a mile high, with smoke in the sky, yet with so much left to discover? I wonder, Wilhelm, what we'll think of this time when we look back.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, give it.
Oh,
love.
man.
Oh, y'all are killing me.
So beautiful.
I loved her in
I'd be
Pisces
about to
season.
cry.
I loved her in Pisces season. Stop it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Y'all give it up one more time for Adrian and give it up for Will. Cause love makes poems sometimes, and that matters. Also mushrooms. I mean, I think we gotta give praise to everything that created those poems. You know what I mean? Word up. All right. So we're gonna keep this thing moving. Please welcome up. We're gonna have a little comedy, y'all. Do you know that if I don't laugh enough during a day, I can't sleep well? Has anybody else noticed that phenomenon? Is it just me? Anyway, the point is laughter is really important for your health. So please, we're gonna keep it moving, y'all. Okay, this last poet. I hate to play Fave. I hate it. I don't want to do it, but I've known them since they were wee one, and I love his poetry. I love this person, and I totally pressured them into getting on the open mic, and I'm really not ashamed of doing it. So give it up for Mateo.
All right, hold your applause. Hold your applause. It's like, yeah, what's up, y'all? It's good to be here. Like Ase2 said, I wasn't gonna come on this mic tonight because I have a psych exam that is apparently due at midnight. You know, Zoom school. It's really has me stressed right now. But yeah, I don't know. I felt inspired. Shades of Honey only comes around once in a blue moon. So I wanted to share some pieces with y'all. They're definitely not, the same brand of funny that Deb just brought y'all. These are pretty depressing, which is kind of like my brand at the current moment. So yeah, I hope that you all like my sad poems. And Deb, yes, I would. Yes, I am. All right, cool. So this first one doesn't really have a title. Yeah, so here we go. There is a concert hall in my chest that I carved from loss. The mariachi bands have long since played their last note here, and my friends have stopped coming to hear the music. But sometimes I still sit upon the balcony, hum a lonely song, and remember fond memories. What if is a grave I used to visit often, my seance for a death I couldn't accept. I brought flowers to pick for you and left petals as meager indulgences for fate, begged her to change her mind. Nowadays, I leave bouquets to dry in the sun. I do not sit with bated breath. I exhale and let the wind take what it must. On the hard days, loss fills my ribcage like the bass of a Spanish guitarra. Desperation claws at me inside like the sharpest note in a string of violins. There are so many shades to unravel in this grief. There is a certain allure to this honest pain, a certain respect I have developed for its presence, the way it keeps me up at night with its wailing, demanding that I listen to all of the sad songs you shared together. I practice this ritual every fortnight or so, in the tradition of great Mexican artists who brought stadiums to tears with their unbearable loss, or Frida, who couldn't stop painting her own face. That boy whose lips you kissed for the last time on a beautiful cold day in April still sits on the corner of my bed sometimes and cries. I feel the breeze between barren tree limbs, the time between cool string lights and a fevered sun before the leaves can sprout again, and I know his tears are coming. I, 3 years his senior, have learned to be a better brother. I sit beside him, shed of my expectations, and let him mourn and mourn what he must. I let him do this every time a song comes on that hits just the right note. Each time the sunlight falls between the branches in a familiar way, every time someone tilts their head in scornful misunderstanding of both their pain and mine. Bless this grief, which taught me resiliency. Thank this grief, which taught me that I could survive without you present. Holy be this grief, which taught me how to love others in absence. Amen. Yeah, so that's that first poem that I have for you all today. And yeah, I have another one for you all. So this one is called When a Zombie Loves a Ghost. So I hope you all like this. There is a wound in my heart, the silhouette of your wordless loss. I used to be so angry with you for this ghost you left me without a name, this emptiness more painful than the tearing. To survive your absence, I had to become a zombie, hungry for resolution. I wrapped my brain around my fingers and took matters into my own hands. I tendrilled my gray around the splinters of my ribcage, forgetting a brain cannot pump blood throughout my body. I retraced my steps. I went back through our timeline of pictures and tried to pinpoint the exact time where things started to go wrong, tried to rationalize what emotion and memory distorted. It took me so long to understand the facade of your pride. Sometimes we leave without saying anything because we don't have the right words to name our love and our pain together. Perhaps you thought you were sparing me your spite with your avoidance. Perhaps you also knew that you were punishing me by withholding. You didn't want to lose control. You didn't want to be seen as weak or dependent. It took me so long to understand that your despondence was your greatest expression of hurt, and fear your trusted display of protection. You were never one to talk about your feelings, even more than I. What loving words could you have given me? A vulnerability, of compassion, of remorse and redemption that you had never learned for yourself. Words I tried to teach you that were never mine to give, to the detriment of myself. How was I to feel anything but abandoned and betrayed when I had never been taught that I deserved better? Sometimes we say things that we don't mean because we can't stand the empty space in between. I tried to reach out, but words failed me, for I had nothing left to say that could have mended our broken selves. I burned all of your gifts to me, both given and taken. I erased all of your pictures, those bittersweet memories I didn't think twice about taking. Call me jaded. Nowadays, I think twice about pictures I snap with spirits that may just be flashes. I know this isn't the point of love. This isn't the point of life, but I have learned the tenderness of loving after burning. So it goes. Loving after heartbreak is like trying to rediscover innocence, to learn to dream again despite, to point and laugh at stars, wishing, knowing their light is already dying. Thank y'all.
Give it up for Mateo. Yeah.
Woo!
Woo!
Oh yeah.
Love that poetry. All right, y'all. We have one more open mic, so give up all your energy right now to Kaylee. Give it up.
Woo! Woo!
This was very last minute, but last time I heard Ruth speak, I like really regretted not doing it. And I know Ruth's about to speak, and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna regret that. So this is my first time sharing or anything like this. And it's just a little something small. So I appreciate y'all bringing me into this space. And I guess a title that I have it titled as is Poem You Want to Share. So here's a poem I want to share. All right. When did you know you lost your way? I knew because I barely felt life today. I sat inside and the only movement was when I blinked my eyes. I held them shut to feel something deeper. See a sky filled with stars. Pretended I could be there. Feet still elevated off the ground. I prayed or wished or called out to plant them again. Somewhere deeper than the stars, embedded them in a dream that lets me feel the stars with my eyes open. A place of security with boundless expansion. Thoughts provoking more than petty desires of escape. Does this push me farther away from the found place? I hope that at least I question this for one more day. No, thank you.
Okay, Kaylee.
Wow. Love it.
Give it up for Kaylee, y'all.
Yes, that was amazing.
I love when people are like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to go. I'm just not. I don't know if I'm ready." And then they're like, "And this is my amazing piece." It's like, wow, yep. Every time, do it every time, y'all. If you have a piece, make sure you hit a mic. All right, so it's about to go down. I'm so lit. All right, so this is what's about to happen. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. Bio break. First, I'm gonna break down the slam, and I'm giving you this 5-minute break so that you can go to the restroom, get some water, get some popcorn because it's about to get tight in here, and shout out to your favorite poets of the night. Make sure they know, send them love, get their IG or however they like to be followed. Here is the order for tonight's slam. And I'll tell you how I did it for full transparency. I put everyone in a list, and then I used a random number generator to organize that list. So the order goes like this. And please clap these poets as I say their name. Kristen was the first poet. Give them love. Franklin. Early is third. Ruth is fourth. Sammy is fifth, and Korea is last. Give it up for the brave poets who are about to slam tonight. Poets, if I don't know your pronouns, please DM me your pronouns. I generally use gender neutral pronouns, but just in case I feel the need to use a pronoun, I want to know what it is. So how this is gonna work, y'all, because we're in weird Zoom land. It's gonna get real ruthless in here. So every time a poet spits, so we're gonna do head to head. We have to do 3 rounds, poet. So I'm sorry about that. So 2 originals, 1 cover. So I'm also giving you these 5 minutes so you can rummage through your notebooks. We're gonna do head to head, and then every time we do a pair, everybody in the audience has to vote for who they want out of that pair to move on to the next round. So you're gonna DM me personally. Don't be don't be, outing yourself like that. But you're gonna DM me the person you want to advance to the next round, and I'm gonna be telling those up real quick, and that's how we're gonna decide who moves on. So we're going from 6 to 4 in the second round to 2 in the last round. So it's gonna get real cutthroat. So I also want you to take this 5-minute break to get your mind right. Are there any questions? Questions, concerns, thoughts, feelings?
I'll say too, how are you so beautiful?
Oh, I don't know.
Just natural.
All right, so 5 minutes. Oh, yes, thank you, Franklin. So it is 3-minute time limits. You get a 10-second grace period. And yeah, so let's do original, cover is the middle round, and then end on original. Sound good? All right, the 5 minutes starts now. All right, so we're gonna get this party started. I am going to, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. I was gonna be the sacrificial lamb, but I don't have anybody to go up against as you listen to this poem. Give your daughters difficult names. Names that command the full use of the tongue. My name makes you want to tell me the truth. My name does not allow me to trust anyone who cannot pronounce it right. Washan Shere. Many of my role models, contemporaries, but especially ancestors, have a name that brings the tongue to worship. Names that feel like ritual in your mouth. I don't want a name said without pause, muttered, without intention. I am through with names that leave me unmoved. Names that leave the speaker's mouth unscathed. I want a name like fire, like rebellion, like my hand gripping masses whip. And I want a name from before the ships. A name Officer Wilson might choke on. I want a name that catches you in the throat if you say it wrong, and if you're afraid to say it wrong, then I guess you should be. I want a name only the brave can say. A name that only fits right in the mouth of those who love me right, because only the brave can love me right. Asetu Shango is the name you take when you are tired of bearing your jewels under thick layers of soot and self-doubt. Asetu the light, Shango the pickaxe, so that people must mine your soul just to get your attention. If you have to ask why I changed my name, it is already too far beyond your comprehension. Call me callous, but with a name like Shango, I cannot afford to tread lightly. You go hard or you go home, and I am centuries and ships away from any semblance of a homeland. I'm a thief's poor bookkeeping skills away from any source of ancestry. I am blindly collecting the shattered pieces of a continent much larger than my comprehension. I hate explaining my name to people. Their eyes peering over my journal, looking for a history they can rewrite. Ask me what my name means. The fuck does your name mean, Becky? Not every word needs an English equivalent in order to have significance. I am done folding myself up to fit your stereotype, your Black friend, your African queen meme, your desire to learn the rhetoric of solidarity without the practice. I am trying to build a country, a continent, a home. The body is a safeless place when you do not know its name. Asetu is what it sounds like when you are trying to bend syllables into a home. With shaky shudders and wind whistling through your empty, I feel empty, motherless. There is no safety in this body. No home in a name. A name is honestly just a name. That's not quite right. A name is honestly just a ritual. And mine still sounds like reverence. Thank you. Okay, so here's the hard part. Oh yes, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. But you have to DM me a name, either Il7 or Ase2. It's gonna be real awkward if you say Il7, but you should do it if that's how you feel.
You murked that, but yeah, you know.
We can't have a slam if y'all don't vote. Oh, but make sure you DM. I mean, if you want everybody to know your vote, that's dope. 2. Okay. I think it's actually even more awkward if you say I say 2, because then I might have to say I say 2, and then that looks so sus. It looks so sus. It looks sus. But here we are. Okay. So it looks like we have I say 2 as the winner. This is hella awkward. Yeah, it's mega sus. I wouldn't believe me either, and that's okay. But give it up for both poets. Make sure you give it up all night. Woo! And so if this were the case, then I would proceed to the next round, and then you would see me again. Okay, everybody get how it goes? Any questions? All right. So I'm going to say the order again, this time with who is going against whom. So we have Kristen versus Franklin. We have Early versus Ruth, and Sammy versus Korea. So without further ado, please welcome up Christian.
Thank you, Asitu. I'm so glad to be here and share space with all of you. This is such a great event. This is my first time at Shades of Honey, and I am so excited to share a poem with you. This poem that I'm going to read was developed with a trans Filipino poet called Kay Ulande Barrett earlier this year at the Transforming Gender Conference. And it involves talking about self-care and self-healing. This poem is called Warrior. I see you, you who struggles. I see your pain and your anxiety and your crushing weight, because I have felt it too. I have felt the oppression, the rooms with walls that feel like they are closing in. I have felt the eyes of judgment upon me, and I have stared back, suppressing my tears, hoping to convey that I am existing and thriving, but knowing I am one step away from falling apart. I see you, you who have not escaped the fight of inner turmoil. I see your struggle, and I acknowledge it, for it is all encompassing and cannot nor should not be belittled for what it is. You are a fighter, a warrior, a vanguard of self, waging war on the multi-headed hydra of self-doubt, anxiety, sadness, hopelessness, and collective trauma. You are seen. Your body is whole, even if it feels like it is shattered into 1,000 pieces. You are picking it up, one piece at a time, off the floor. I see you, warrior. You are not defined by your struggle, but rather by how you have risen to overcome it. I see your spirit, your wild, untamed passions, the way you pour yourself into others like cool water on wounds in need of relief. You are a teacher, guide, and shaman, carrying a fire to light the path for those who cannot see their own inner flame. You are a beacon of hope. Your scars a reminder that battles can be won. You are made of so much light, especially because of what you have fought to overcome. You are hope for those still stumbling, still groping, still searching for a light in a world that sometimes feels like all the paths that must be walked are shrouded in darkness. You bring light, joy, and comfort. Your presence is divine, your existence is holy, and it is worth being celebrated because you keep trying, keep growing, keep learning. Because you are still here fighting.
Give it up, give it up, give it up. No, but like literally, like give it up. Like make some noise. All right, so keep that poem locked in your mind. Remember how it made you feel. And please welcome up Franklin Cruz.
Go ahead, poet.
Yes, Franklin, we had your beer too.
Woo!
Hi, thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for having me. This one's called Love Yourself. On the days you are your own worst enemy, laugh loud, even if you do sound like a hyena. Sometimes the world is rushing you to succeed or asking you to adult as if anybody's got a clear idea on what that actually means. So when you still find yourself making less than the best choices, crack open a can of nostalgia, laugh at your most socially awkward moments like the time that I was actually caught naked in front of family. Remember the stress and the struggle, the mountain that as you got older somehow grew into a prairie dog hole. Be the friend who's brave enough to jump in and strong enough to come out with you. Show yourself you love yourself enough to be unapologetically you, especially when the sirens and the riot shields come. The ones that arrive every single time you run out of money, hope, or the trust you sowed in a country. Be your own best friend who saw yourself hatch from the egg, grow wings, fly straight up into the sun, roast your own skin and fall, be there when you are shish kebab by the prongs of fate and circumstance. Don't panic at your busted frame. Love yourself enough to rebuild yourself. Love yourself enough to parent yourself. Love yourself enough to get wild with yourself. Love yourself enough to get hype with yourself. Love yourself enough to reenact X-Men with yourself. Love yourself enough to cook naked for yourself. Love yourself like you could love your family. Show them how you can grow wings over and over again. Love yourself like you could love your heroes. The ones who don't even know how great they are. Love yourself like you don't even know how great you are. Like everything that happens to you happens on purpose and nothing was a mistake. Not even the booby trap in the pitfall. Succeeding can be easy, but learning to love yourself along the way is why we need friends like ourselves. So be your own Justice League Unlimited. Swoop into your own head or imagination and say all the stupid shit you want. Hell, say that out loud and then back yourself up. Be the kind of friend who's okay with busting out at a nightclub, or the kind of friend who will plot out a theoretical crime spree. Be the kind of friend who's okay with letting you crash out if you ever lose your house, or your heart, or your way. Allow yourself to germinate the way you're supposed to. Grow again like árboles de piñones. Water your own roots. Trim your own branches. Sculpt your own crown. Be the kind of friend you would end up marrying. The kind that would make you laugh over stupid shit like waffles and cry over nerdy things like Star Trek and love you in all the right ways like forever wouldn't even be long enough. Love yourself like forever wouldn't even be long enough. Like even after you die, you would love your spirit wherever it ends up, like we should have always been doing in the first place.
Give it up.
Woo!
Yes. All right, put your votes in. To Love Yourself poem. Wow, I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, so I believe we have a winner for this pair. Drum roll, please. Give it up for Franklin Cruz, who will be advancing to the next round. Give it up for both these poets for showing out and encouraging you to love yourself.
You were so good.
And okay, so I have a correction, which is mad awkward because I just did a 3-minute poem about not mispronouncing people's name. But I've been saying early, the name is Charlie. So please give it up for Charlie.
Woo! Yay, Charlie!
Good. Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I've been having a very, very wonderful day. Technical issues, so my camera ain't working. So yeah. Anyway, it's been a minute since I've actually performed. It's been like 6 months, so it's been a very long minute. But anyway, since I'm experiencing so much technical difficulties. I have the perfect poem that I actually made the other day that really relates to me right now. So let's go. I'm just another Mexican, standing proud at 5'11.5". I'm the pinto bean statuesque protagonista that you still refuse to acknowledge, not even behind closed doors, underneath your hooded whispers. But what do I know? I'm just another Mexican, otro fulanito that can cook, that can clean, that can teach, that can repair, that can create, that can break, that can dismantle, that can rebuild, and of course, that can fulfill my community's wildest dreams. But what do I know, right? I'm just another Mexican. My scripted character profile doesn't include me acknowledging the rust iron chains that have bled my relatives dry. I'm only meant to carry the same lucid tradition white settlers had, where they preach holy salvation will run this nation, when we all know for a damn fact it's us who run this bucket of bolts when it comes to this country's situation. But what do I know, right? I'm just another Mexican, one who doesn't really drink but can pretty much outdrink you, to the point you get to find out if there's something else behind this thing we call life. One who isn't really cut from the same macho bravado most have just because they got a dick in their pants, but you can take my word for it, I can still rock the shit out ya. One who knows the difference between hearing and listening, where my ears and eyes will stay undivided as you tell me your story. But what do I know, right? I'm just another Mexican, called an alien in a land that's not foreign to me. It's fostered my heart and my soul as no other can. From sea to shining sea, I felt it in my blood and bones. This is where I'm meant to be, free and liberating tomorrow's future through my words, through my pictures, y también por mis cuentos. But what do I know, right? I'm just a Mexican. Ta-da!
Give it up for Charlie!
Órale, pues, güey.
And please keep that applause going for the next poet in this pair, Ruth.
Yeah! Woo!
Woo!
Let's go, poet.
Let's get it, Ruth.
Let's go, Ruth!
Yeah. It's been a minute, so let's see. This is a poem that does not have a title, so we're just gonna get right into it. Look, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, cause y'all done got too comfortable in the white man's world. First, y'all stole our bodies, stripped us of our humanity, whipped out our souls, robbed us of our freedom. Now y'all coming for our word. Taking our hair wasn't enough, was it? Why does it flow so easily off your tongues? No stutter, no hesitation. It ain't even just for songs. Y'all got comfortable with saying nigga around niggas like you one of us. Like saying nigga makes you Negro without Negro experiences. Y'all want this word, but don't want our life. Go ahead, try. You can ask Rachel. Can never live like a true nigga. Cause saying nigga don't make you colored, ain't make you worry about 12 catching you with a hoodie, a phone, a toy gun. Haunted by the syllables my fists clench as it slips so easily from your mouth, like a bullet, faster than I put my hands up with no type of trigger warning, forcing me to be complacent and still bleed for it, as if this life gives you permission to belittle my blackness or steal it again, as if being another person of color means we have a monolithic experience in some collective black card bullshit. Here we go again, still explaining why only niggas can say nigga, why there's always a double edge when it ricochets from your lips to my ears. I'm running out of breath. The noose is too tight. Y'all keep tugging again and again over a word. One word, our word. I ain't got nothing left. Y'all done took it all. It was all we had left, nigga. Thank you.
Woo! Oh,
Yes, man.
All right,
Last
give it up for those
line.
poets and put your votes in. Remember how they made you feel. Oh, it's a stiff competition in here. All right, so telling the votes. A lot of people saying this is a hard one. But we do have a winner. Please give it up for Ruth, who will be advancing to the next round. And don't forget to give your praise to Charlie. I know y'all love the poems, but it is hard.
Love you both.
All right, so in this last pair, we have starting us off, Sammy. Come through, poet. Give it love, give it love, give it love.
Let's go. Get free.
Is Sammy here? Uh-oh. Oh dear. Do we not have Sammy here? Oh no. Oh no. That's challenging because we kind of need a pair. This is a problem. Anybody want to slam? Anyone? Yikes. My thoughts exactly. Are you sure you want to slam? Come on, $50. The chance at $500 grand prize. Think about it. All right. We're gonna try something here. Put in a vote. So remember Christian's poem. Remember Charlie's poem. Conjure it in your brain, conjure it in your body right now. And vote for who you would like to hear again. We're just gonna do it like that. Okay. Make sure you get your vote in, All right. So it looks like we have Charlie to the stage. I'm going to switch it up though, because I know you weren't prepared to do this. So I'm going to give you a minute. And Korea, since you hate to go last so much, you up!
Yes, Korea.
Woo! Yeah.
My mother tells me that she used to be thin. The last sliver of water aching down the length of a neck, a bean pole reaching up towards the sky. She tells me that I ruined her body. Her stomach now empty from carrying a moon. I have left her with an empty plot of land where blood used to be. And so I tried to hang myself from the sky and light up the last shimmer of a ripple in a lake of her eye to make being her daughter something worthy of reverence. But I am more circle and wide-hipped, gaping and awkward and something she is not proud of. She tells me to stay out of the kitchen, and so I swallow myself whole, making no noise in her garden. In my mother's garden, it is always winter somehow. We are big boned and built for an empty harvest. Heirlooms are inherited from an empty basket. Teach your stomach how to be hollow, or at least learn to stretch our hips and trade the meaning of void for full. We learn to walk back from the earth empty-handed. My body becomes the only thing I have ever tried to kill. Some days I wake up next to my body, outside my body, and it feels like the closest thing I will ever get to a crime scene. I dig a hole somewhere in the middle of a morsel of flesh I have yet to feed in a generation's stomach hollow, I place a vacant ad for rent as if someone can take better care of this plot of land. No past life that has inhabited this body can make their way fast enough up my throat. My mouth has been closed like a refrigerator door. I am learning to be consumed rather than to consume anything. When I look at this swollen bellied girl, there is a faint echo that says, Black girls don't have eating disorders. How did you get this way? How did you shrink this way? that no one sees me in plain sight. Disappearing girl is only believable if you can fit her in between your teeth and be less Sprite can in their mouth. So you reach back into your throat and you try and grab your thin mother, spinning and swirling. She makes her way into your stomach, and then you turn to starvation when bulimia doesn't work anymore. Snacks start to sound like giving up. We start guzzling coffee or walking around grocery stores to nowhere and no basket to fill our stomach. The trail of food slithering down my throat sounds like surrender. I am utilizing the skill of cutting onions to make myself into more palatable sizes. I stay out the kitchen and move into my throat, acquaint myself of what this breath means to be narrowing and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, smaller and smaller and smaller until there is nothing left. And my mother sees me in her, and I return to her body. Thank you.
Give it up, give it up, give it up.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Feel, and then keep the applause going for Charlie.
Yeah. Oh shit. So we're on to the second round, right?
Nope.
No.
This is still the first round.
Okay, word. Give me a sec. Alrighty. I guess I'll do the other piece that I was originally gonna do. Alrighty. 2319.8. Attention, y'all. We got a 2319.8. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. We got a 2319.8. Please grab your loved ones, lock yourselves down. This is not a drill. Through the smoke and tears, I can still smell the fear and overtakes brown and black faces when red and blue headlights shine accordingly to what your race is, never based on how stupidly idiotic, ill-advised others might be, since all cops can't place blame on white faces that look too similar to the white citations they give out to us outliers. The newest postmodernist trend where catchy hashtags give way to fireworks and natty lights, since it's about freedom when the trust fund kids do it, but it's disturbing the peace when we do it. It's about liberty when Chads and Brads can't sexually assault, but not when it comes to historical erasure, trying to make it seem like this nation has no fault since there's no such thing as a class war in the gated communities of this US sanctioned industry. Shall I go on? It's about patriotism when Becky's and Susans don't want to be sheep, when it comes to wearing a mask, but not when we have siblings who can't risk getting sick in spaces already deadly, toxic to their melanated souls, breathing in that rancid bullshit that spews from White Claw bitches who can't tell the difference between appreciation and appropriation. Shall I go on? Es siendo americano solamente cuando la gente quiere un escape ilegal de la realidad de la situación, because it's being an American when shit hits the fan and yet nothing happens to these poisonous swamp-ass communities, mientras doble lenguas como yo y tú resultan estar siempre dentro la mirada de la justicia y la democracia, porque aunque seamos de este país, siempre nos verán como los extraños extraterrestres que somos. Shall I go on?
Go on.
Dun, dun, I'm done, yeah.
Diles.
All right, so I think we got taken the class both times. So recall which one you liked slightly more than the other and put your votes in. And while we're doing that, I want to know who already thought ahead and did the math and realized that what I said earlier wasn't going to work. I want to know who just left me out here looking dumb. Who was it? Oh, okay, so we all in the same boat. Cool. So yeah, when you go head to head with 6 people, you end up with 3. So then what happens from that point is you listen to 3 poems and you vote for one of them. That's what happens, and we have 2 rounds. Everybody get that? Yep. That's what happens when that goes down. All right. So drum roll, please. Korea will be advancing to our next and final round. Give it up. What you heard tonight, it takes tremendous effort to spit here in front of people. And we all know that slam is a load of crap. And poetry, you're speaking your heart. How can you judge that? So moving on to the last round where we're going to judge that. So we have in this order, again, I did the number generator type situation. We have up first Ruth, second is Franklin, last is Korea. Remember, the rules of this round is a cover piece. It must be by a Black artist. All right, so, and audience, you have a very important role. You have to remember how you felt about each poet, all three of them, and compare them. So if you need to take notes, make yourself a little rubric, feel free to do so. All right? All right, Ruth, give it to us. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Woo!
Korea has a question in the chat. Do you want to say who the poet is?
Yeah, y'all can introduce it any way you like.
Cool. So this is called Lessons on Being an African Immigrant in America by Frequency. Number 1, lose your accent. People will make fun of the African girl, but nobody fucks with the Black girls. Even when young, they can be so angry. 2, don't stare at white people. They are not animals in the zoo. 3, when they stare at you like an animal in the zoo, do not be confused. Do not bare teeth when they reach out to pet you, to touch your hair without permission. You are, after all, so exotic, so foreign, so other. Some will even call you inhuman. They will call you alien. Ask you who called your spaceship to crash land your brain-drained dreams onto these eastern shores. These eastern shores have already landed ships from your world when we invaded it. But this is the 21st century and we don't need chains to make slaves of people anymore. 4, with a name like Mwende Kalon Katua, the jokes will come. Do not envy your brother David or blame your mother Lucy. The way their names roll smooth off foreign tongues is proof that colonization and assimilation go hand in hand. You are your grandmother's legacy. 5, when Black people tell you you aren't really Black, remind them how Amadou Diallo's dead body looked no different than any other Black man's in this gradual genocide. And I know you may not call it that in this country, but believe me when I say we know it. Hello? Know what it sounds like. It's white lies telling families that they are now enemies. We are identical twins that were separated at birth, now strangers. The hardest thing we will both learn is how to replant a family tree whose fruits were exploited for gain and whose branches held nooses. 6, when almost 300 of your West Coast kingdoms. I'll keep going. 6, when almost 300 of your West Coast kin go missing and Americans claim them as our girls, refrain from asking questions like, why did it take a month and a hashtag for them to claim a family when it was in the news? Or why weren't the 60 schoolboys attacked by Boko Haram earlier this year claimed as our boys too? Instead, ask that they do not connoy 2012 these 234 to the backs of their browsers, that they do not be the kind of family who only shows up to $12 weddings and funerals. 7, when people ask you if you're upset because you're on your period the week Al-Shabaab attacks a mall in your home country, do not marvel at how some think blood only comes out of holes that the body has formed naturally. 8, Once you realize you can stop your metamorphosis from the African girl to the American girl every time you break free from Western cocoon and fly to your roots, resist the urge to remain pupa in the silk of stolen comforts, brace for the turbulence that will shake your flight with the truth that you are no longer sure which place is home and which is foreign to you. Thank you.
Woo! Give it up for that poem, but especially the poet who read that poem. Give it up. And please welcome up Franklin Cruz. Make some noise, make some noise. Woo!
Woo! Thank you. So this is from the Accentos Review. It is by Ariana Brown. It is called Dear White Girls in My Spanish Class. So, I see you, stumbling so hard you laugh through entire sentences because my ancestors are a punchline and everything that comes out your mouth is funny. Funny. I guess I'm used to being a joke, a brown body splayed and smoldering at the corner of your lip. I just want to know, when you hold sacred sounds on your tongue, does it feel less holy? Why are you here? I bet you thought this class would be easy, since Spanish is what poor brown people speak, right? Not something you actually have to try to understand, not fancy or sophisticated, not like French, the language you love over-pronouncing as if compensating for your basic American whiteness. You're not special. You're the reason my grandmother feared her children would speak with accents. So afraid she buried her first language in the space between blood and bone, since your grandparents wouldn't let her make a home outside her body. Did your ancestors protect you from that pain? By withholding what they knew of a country before this one? Let me be clear. Spanish was given to my people at the end of a sword, forced in our throats, gory, sharpened under the colonizer's constant eye. Each rolled R is the red, wet fingerprint pointing back at me to this. Spanish is not my native tongue. English isn't either. The languages I speak are bursting with blood, but they are all I have. I own only my hot mouth speeding against assimilation's clock and colonial legacy you won't even try to pronounce. So I ask again, why are you here? Do you think my grandmother's accent a sickness? One so volatile, you call yourself gringa at every chance, so I won't make fun of you when you make fun of the way my language sounds to you? Don't you know I had to fight for this? For every scrap of culture I could get my hands on, even if its lineage is as European as yours. My father, a Black American man, is descended from slaves. I am descended from slaves. I want to know where I come from, but I can only trace my history in one direction, so I'm here in yet another Spanish class, desperately reaching for a language I hope will choose me back someday. What is it like to be a tourist in the halls of my silence? To not be expected to speak better than you do? To visit Mexico and not care that the people mistake you for being from somewhere else? How does it feel to take a foreign language for fun, to owe your history nothing?
Ow! Up for the poem, but especially the poet. Make some noise. I know y'all did it for a little bit, but I woo!
Oh wow.
All right, I hope y'all are back.
Killed it.
It's gonna be tight. All right, and last but not least, please give it up for Korea. Woo! Nice. Woo!
Woo! So this is called Water by Portia O. In 2010, 6 Black teenagers drowned in the Louisiana Red River. Researchers found that 70% of Black people do not know how to swim, that Black kids are 3 times more likely to drown. The question became, why do Blacks possess the fear of water? I've heard sharks followed slave ships crossing the Atlantic, trailing black bodies thrown overboard. I heard during slave times, white masters refused to let blacks learn to swim because a swimming slave could get away, could swim to freedom, could figure out a way to wade in the water. I heard little black kids ain't nothing but gator bait. Gator bait lets you catch an alligator so big, so vicious, it bite like racism. Black mamas be like, keep your kids out the water. It ain't safe, child. I heard a Jim Crow North and a Ku Klux South kept coloreds out of public swimming pools and off water fountains. I heard they hose niggas down with firefighter water hose like you hose down a rabid dog in summertime heat. A New Orleaner heard come hell or high water, they were gonna watch niggas drown in a hurricane down south. Heard they knew that levees was gonna give in and break, knew the water was coming to wash niggas away. Tell me, how do a nigga keep their head above water if niggas can't swim? Nigga can't doggy paddle, niggas can't tread water, niggas jump but never jump in. I sprint, you swim, niggas can't float, our bodies too dense. We don't fuck with the rain because our hair just got did. I heard yesterday in Detroit they cut the water off. I heard the water don't run. I heard the faucets run dry. I heard kids are dehydrated. Niggas is thirsty. Heard they gasping for air. Been drowning in oppression for what feels like forever, ever since crossing the Atlantic. Been feeling lost at sea. Been feeling like a fish out of water, like a body sinking in the deep end, like treading troubled waters and drowning.
Give it up for that poem and
Woo!
Oh,
no.
All right, y'all. Take some deep breaths, take a moment, think about the last round as well as this round. You are about to choose a winner. So put in your votes. Who do you want to hear one last victory lap from? There's a lot of names in this chat, y'all. Y'all gonna make me count. That ain't right. Okay. All right. I believe. No, not you putting in two different people. All right. Okay. Drum roll, please, everybody. Unmute. Give a drum roll. Make some noise. What a beautiful night. I want to say thank you, and please come back to both Ruth and Franklin. Give it up for those poets. Woo!
Woo!
And her name is Korea. Woo!
Let's go.
All right, Korea, you want to give us one more? We're dying for it.
Oh, this one's depressing. It's like really depressing.
All right, we can all take our baths and eat our food and take care of ourselves after. Go in, poet.
Okay, I'll do that. Franklin and Ruth, y'all did amazing, and so did the other poets. I love y'all so much. All right. Round 3. 5 things I wish I could tell my brother before he is released from prison in 48 hours after trying to kill himself, amongst other things, 9 months ago. Number 1, I hate you. I hate the way you were the first boy I ever loved. I hate the way that you were the first man I ever carried, and this was at the age of 8. That when you drank and your fingers found their way to my neck, breathing became a litany of aspiration. Heaving was the way that I knew you were still here and fighting. How this taught me to disregard my body in a sea of burgundy and blood, and drywall should never be the way that a child knows her sibling is still living. 8 years old is much too tiny to hold a body in their lap, but repetition makes everything mean nothing. And so a torso becomes a book and a lap, and a recitation of waking up and waking up and waking up means nothing. And so does living and living and living if you do it enough. It holds no weight when the person is actively becoming their pallbearer. Number 2, you look just like mommy. How do you tell a woman that a part of her is trying to kill himself while she watches, smells like Dutchess, a bus ticket, and a skeleton smiling down at dirt, stops for a mugshot before he stops for water? I imagine you come to her outside of herself, dressed in saris and forgetting to put your 2 weeks in. How many times has she watched what she held forget his name? Number 3, thank you. It was not all bad. I opened a picture book in our living room where we exchanged budding and beautiful blackness filtered through a creek of light in the blinds that barely open. And I found a photograph of me and you smiling on our handlebars, reckless and vast. When did you throw your life away? You are the first person that I can remember and the first person I am afraid to forget. Number 4. I am terrified of the power a goodbye actually has. I force myself to be comfortable in a see you soon that I know is not true. I start deleting pictures because grieving feels less heavy. This brings me to prayer sometimes, my knees now bloodied with hands that weigh nothing with rosary beads. I wish someone had loved you without looking away. I wonder how often you can call on a God you don't believe in to save someone from themselves. As if death cannot be manifested through ceremony, I am terrified that this 11-year gap between us is not enough room to bury a body. Number 5. I love you. But I will not tell you you are beautiful while you are dying. I will not carve you. I will not carve your urn or pick out the necklace I will wear you in. I will not accept that you are giving up. I will not tell you you are beautiful while there is Narcan in your body. I will not tell you that it will all be okay because people seek respite in what is between a guaranteed grave and a limited living. I will not attend a funeral while there is still life in your body. And it is because of this love that I will not write you an obituary while you are still here. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Got me about to cry.
Yeah, same. Got chills like 4 times.
Thank y'all.
Oh, sorry. I can't see y'all. Sorry. I'm sorry. I was thrown off. I don't know how to
Apologize.
spotlight. My screen time shut me out. There was a lot of things that happened. That was When did you write that?
I wrote both of the poems today.
Yeah. So give it up for Korea White, y'all.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so proud.
So yeah, y'all, thank you for such a beautiful night. Please make sure that you let any poet who touched you tonight know how they made you feel. And Korea, what do you need for folks who spoke tonight?
So I have everyone written down that spoke, and Kaylee, you're the only person that I don't have info for. So if you could just like, I'll send you my email in the chat, and if you could just like get in touch with me, and I can get y'all paid. I think that's it. I'll reach out to everyone pretty soon, like within the next 24 hours to get y'all paid. And yeah, I really appreciate y'all, and I love you very much.
Give it up, give it up, give it up. And also, everybody, have a great night. Thank you all for being here and contributing to the incredible energy of this space. Thank
y'all so much. Have a good night.